I am not the MacArthur genius either, unfortunately, but what I am is a product person at LinkedIn that is very excited that I get to build products that take advantage of all this great product and content evolution that's happening on the platform. And really this concept of highly targeted content to build relationships is the key to how we think about our marketing solutions products and the things that we're kind of making available to all of you. And as I thought about, okay, well, I need to convince this crowd that, content, that social is a channel, LinkedIn is a channel for this content. It turns out you all knew that already. So it's not news to you, but almost 90% of B2B marketers in this survey from the Content Marketing Institute are already using social as a channel to distribute content. And in fact, in some surveys, it's the #1 most used, social marketing is the #1 most used tactic. And then in terms of LinkedIn in particular, as a channel for that content distribution, stats you've heard here and there throughout the day, but 187 million members worldwide, over 1 million IT decision makers and 3 million CXO levels. So there are, so the universe of your customers, they're on LinkedIn already, and they're highly affluent and they're educated. And also, a unique aspect of the social network in this context is that they're connected. So this map that is building on the slides behind me is a map of my connections throughout the world. You may have seen some similar maps for yourselves. I have worked in London. I've worked on the East Coast. I've worked on the West Coast. I kind of, sometimes when I see my map building, I get a little bit tired thinking about my journey, but this is sort of a map of all of my connections and how they're connected to each other and how they build into this massive network of interconnected professionals. And Mike mentioned about the IT buying process being complicated, and there's so many touch points for making that decision. So not only are these the IT decision makers important on our network, but their whole network of connections are equally influential as they make these purchasing decisions. So the power of the network is really alive, on LinkedIn. And because of that audience, and because of our context, LinkedIn is a site being used most by B2B marketers in this survey from the Content Marketing Institute again. So that really has everything to do about the fact that your customers are trying to make decisions to be more effective in their jobs. So the mission of sort of marketers on LinkedIn is really supports the overall mission of LinkedIn about making professionals more productive in their everyday lives, because the content that you can send them and the relationships you build with them help make them productive as well. So it's a really mutually beneficial relationship. So not only is this a recognized channel for this content consumption, when we talk to our members, we surveyed them and they said actually, content from brands is the second most expected content type that that they're looking for after updates from their personal professional networks. So again, win-win that not only is this a channel where your customers are sort of, where the universe of your customers are consuming content, they're actually looking for content from you. They're looking to build that relationship with a brand. So again, as a product person that can build kind of, within the marketing portfolio, and I can build products that make both members happy and make marketers happy, that's just a great job. So where does that begin? On LinkedIn, really, the beginning of this content experience, the beginning of where you build your relationships with your customers is really the company page. So we have over 2.8 million active company pages. I think Mike saw this, but I didn't see how many hands went up. How many people have their company pages set up? All right, that's good. And hopefully people are using the new version of the company page that you can see here that HP is using. And I wanted, we're going to use, I'm going to show you an example of how HP is using their company presence here. But as you can see with the image in the front, they're featuring their Make It Matter campaign. And they're using this as a starting point for their marketing communications. And then they're using our targeted status update capabilities to send targeted messages into their 800,000 person follower base that they've acquired on LinkedIn. And this is an example of one update they've sent. You can see it's 245 likes, 27 comments about their new hybrid PC. So rather than me tell you about it, I want to show a short video of HP describing how they've used some of this content strategy to build this relationship.
HP is many things to many people. We decided that it would be wise of us to sort of build up a LinkedIn audience that was primed and ready to hear those marketing messages. And LinkedIn just made the most sense because it's such a professional network that those people were wide open to receiving messages from us.
HP, with their Make It Matter campaign, really wanted to do two things. First, they wanted to really have high impact branding and awareness and drive people back towards their landing page or their brand page. But more importantly, they really wanted to go out there and they wanted to foster this dialogue, and they wanted to create an environment where this dialogue can become very dynamic and where they can communicate with their prospective customers.
Because of the targeting that we did and the acquisition of these followers, we learned they value the HP brand and they are much more likely to recommend those products to their network. They're really interested in hearing about new products and services.
Not only were people really hungry for information and willing to participate and ready to engage, but we noticed that even the C-level audience was very receptive to the whole concept, and they were actually more active than the non-C levels.
Wow, everybody really wants to hear from HP. The fact that they're following us so aggressively was amazing.
So that's HP, and that's how they're starting to use this content distribution to build the relationships with their follower base on LinkedIn. I also wanted to share another example of Samsung Mobile and kind of show you how the kind of results that can deliver at the end of the day. So Samsung, as the director of media and digital marketing at Samsung tells us, they wanted to work through LinkedIn to identify and empower influential brand advocates to increase word of mouth and awareness of their products. So again, using this company page as a starting point for that content strategy, they acquired followers, and then they started sending out targeted messages out to their follower base. And what we found that when we surveyed at before and after the act of becoming a follower and consuming this content with Samsung, there was a almost 50% increase awareness of Samsung's products amongst the follower base, almost 40% increase in likelihood to recommend, and 30% increase in purchase consideration. So really strong tie back to some of the key metrics that you guys are going to measure your content strategies against. We also, in terms of building that long-term relationship with followers, because that's really what the content marketing opportunities on LinkedIn are about, is you get these followers and you have a long-term channel to communicate with them. They also managed to move some of the connection that their follower base felt with the brand. So they felt more up to date, they know that they've learned about products and services, and they feel closer to the brand, which is really important. So David talked about the growth of mobile and mobile on our network and how important it's been for this content consumption channel. And the really compelling thing about these content updates that you can send off from your company page is that it flows across all of the screens and it flows into our mobile properties. So I get asked a lot about how does a marketer take advantage of LinkedIn's mobile capabilities. This is it. This is the way that you can get in front of the mobile audience today. Send updates into your follower base. They will consume them on their mobile devices. They will like, comment, and share and redistribute that content through their network, and their network will see it within our mobile devices as well. And that's true of the phone and the iPad as well. And those company pages that you're building out, they're on the phone and the iPad as well. So, while company pages kind of are your outward brand presence on LinkedIn, groups are really part of a community engagement and community dialogue strategy. And in some of the Forrester research today, we heard a little bit about how social channels and community engagement is one of the important social tactics for marketing. Groups is an important area for that communication on LinkedIn. And next week, we'll be launching the ability to tie those groups into your company pages, so you now can kind of have a holistic presence around between your company page and the groups that you're in those conversations that you're fostering. So you can see that there. But to give you an example of a company that's doing a really good job of fostering that community and those relationships through content and conversation, I wanted to share with you some of the details around our Connect City Women's Professional Group. So for those of you that don't know about the Professional Women's Network, it has over 80,000 members. I think it started about 7 months ago. So we worked with Citi earlier this year. They identified professional women as a key target for them that they wanted to build relationships with. And we built out this professional women's community. And engagement in this community has been through the roof. When compared with other groups that are of equal size, they're 2.5 times more engaged. It's been our fastest growing group in 2012. And really the core reason behind that is because it's just really struck a core of a conversation and a dialogue that these professional women feel really passionately about and that Citi is a part of. So they actually engage in the group as members. They have their brand presence on the side, but they'll actually participate as well. And when we set out to build the group, I think that we probably felt like it was going to be maybe mid to senior level women who would be interested in this dialogue. What we've seen is a whole array and kind of stretching the gamut of the types of conversations that are happening. So you see young women reaching out and asking for career advice and starting their careers. And then we see people who are also a little bit further along asking for guidelines on retirement savings. So again, content kind of that is relevant and applicable to the full, to a large set of different professional women in this community, all of whom are engaging. And I think one of the signs that this has been such a great success has been that this group is actually self-organized. So they have organized themselves to actually go off and meet in the real world. So they've taken these relationships offline. And so you see that this person here has asked if anybody wants to meet up in New York. And we saw this starting to happen in multiple cities. And actually then Citi, the brand, was going into these events and participating as well as members. So it really took off from a viral standpoint, but also just, you see the strength of these relationships that are being forged, amongst a community of women who don't know each other than through this group. So that's kind of I think some of the highlights around how people are taking that content consumption and those content relationship building and using them for marketing goals on LinkedIn. I say this frequently. I know the only time people really invite the product person to speak at groups because they want to hear about the product roadmap. So here I am going to talk about the product roadmap. I don't want to disappoint. But I also didn't want to disappoint because I think I've counted maybe 4 different versions of the funnel today. I want to put up my own. It's a little bit less complicated than the trombone French horn that we saw earlier. But I think we can all agree that the traditional funnel is dead, right? So whatever you want to draw it, arrows pointing whichever direction. The point is that the funnel is no longer as linear as it used to be. And that's really how we think about the products that we're building within Marketing Solutions for brands like yours. So again, highly targeted content fuels relationships. It fuels professional relationships, and it fuels relationships between customers and your brand. And as we think about that relationship, we are building products to help you kind of achieve the objectives of all stages of the funnel, some of which you see now, some of which will be coming in the future. So just to leave you with a few more tangible things that you can look for in the coming months. David talked about SlideShare and how important that's been in terms of sharing professional content. And we're actively looking at ways to bring that SlideShare content and that distribution and ability to share SlideShare content into the LinkedIn experience and make it more readily available to marketers. So that can include making it very easy to share your SlideShares on LinkedIn and also build your gallery of SlideShare content. The second kind of big chunk of work that we're doing is around data. So again, David mentioned that the quality of us knowing occupation, company, function. We have this really rich profile data that can get down to the account level that your sales force is going after. And we are looking for more and more ways to make that data easily accessible to you in order to use it for targeting purposes. So audience targeting is a major investment area for us. And then the last bucket, which I didn't share much from today in terms of examples of how this is being used, by marketers today, but there's a lot of great examples out there, is around integration in our API ecosystem. So we're an open platform, and as we strive to make LinkedIn sort of the professional identity of record, we're making that capability available to all of you through APIs and plugins, so you can bring them into your own experiences that you're building maybe off of LinkedIn. So that's another big focus area for us. So that is a little bit about what you can expect from us. Like I said, as you know, this all really, the products we're building on Marketing Solutions really ties back to our core mission statement around making the world's professionals more productive and successful. So that is a joint mission that we all kind of share together.